You know that moment when you walk into a room expecting celebration, and instead, you feel like you've just walked into a courtroom? That's exactly what happened to me. I'm Summer. I'm 30. And last week, I walked into my surprise birthday party, only to find 75 people sitting in silence, staring at me like I'd done something wrong. No music. No decorations. No smiles. Just a table in the center of the room. And a red folder. My father stood behind it like a judge. My mother stood beside him like a witness. And my sister. She was filming everything. Then my father said something that didn't just ruin my birthday. It erased my entire life. "You're not our daughter." For a second, I thought it was a joke. A cruel one. But still a joke. Then he held up a document. DNA results. And everything inside me went quiet. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was what came next. "Since you're not ours," he continued, "you owe us for everything we spent raising you." He slid the folder toward me. $500,000. And every single person in that room just watched. But before I tell you what happened next, you need to understand how I ended up there. Because nothing about that night was random. It was planned. For weeks earlier, my sister called me. Excited. Too excited. "Mom and Dad are throwing you a huge surprise party," she said. "Everyone's coming." I remember sitting in the ICU break room, staring at my coffee, trying to process it. Because in 30 years, my parents had never thrown me a party. Not when I graduated nursing school. Not when I turned 21. Not even once. But my sister. She got everything. Big celebrations. Expensive gifts. Endless attention. And me. I got. Be understanding. So when she told me about the party, a part of me didn't believe it. But another part. The part that had spent 30 years trying to be enough. Wanted to. Maybe they finally saw me. Maybe things were changing. So I said yes. That week, I kept thinking about everything I'd done for them. 7 years working as an ICU nurse. Long shifts. Exhaustion. Sacrifice. And every single month, I sent money home. $500. No questions asked. 7 years. Over $40,000. I never asked for it back. Because that's what family does. Right. Meanwhile, my sister still lived at home. Didn't work. Didn't contribute. And still got everything. I should have seen the pattern. But I didn't. Because when you spend your whole life trying to earn love, you don't question it. You chase it. 3 days before the party, everything seemed to be falling into place. I got shortlisted for a promotion. Charge nurse. The biggest step in my career. I just needed one thing. A recommendation. And for the first time in my life, my father said yes. "I'll give it to you at your party," he said. "Make it special." Special. That word should have scared me. But instead, it gave me hope. So I bought a new dress. Prepared myself. Told myself. This time will be different. I had no idea. I wasn't walking into a celebration. I was walking into a setup. Because the moment I stepped into that room, I realized this wasn't a birthday party. It was a public execution, and I was the target. The moment I walked into that room, I knew something was wrong. 75 people. All silent. All watching. No one said happy birthday. No one moved. My rehearsed smile faded before I even realized it. At the center of the room sat a long table. And on it, a single red folder. My parents stood behind it. Not welcoming me. Not smiling. Waiting. "Sit down," my father said into a microphone. A microphone. That's when it hit me. This wasn't a party. This was a performance. And I was the main event. I sat down slowly, my heart starting to race. "Dad, what's going on?" He didn't answer. Instead, he opened the folder. Pulled out a document. Held it up for everyone to see. "This," he said, voice echoing through the room, "is a DNA test." The air shifted. People leaned forward. Whispers started. You are not our biological daughter. Everything inside me froze. I tried to speak. Nothing came out. You were never ours, my mother added, stepping forward. We took you in. We raised you. Her voice wasn't emotional. It was sharp. Accusing. And this is how you repay us? My father continued. By complaining. By acting like we weren't enough. I started. We have witnesses, he cut in. People you've spoken to. People who know how ungrateful you've been. I looked around the room. Faces I'd grown up with. People who had hugged me at holidays. Who had called me family. Not one of them spoke. Not one. Then my father placed another paper on the table. Numbers. Columns. Years. This, he said, tapping the page, is everything we spent raising you. My stomach dropped. Food. Housing. Education. He paused. For 30 years. Then he said the number. $500,000. The room reacted. Gasps. Murmurs. Shock. And we want it back. I blinked. Trying to process what I just heard. You want me to repay you for raising me. Before I could even think, my mother grabbed my wrist. Hard. In one quick motion. She pulled my car keys out of my hand. This car, she said, holding them up. You only have it because of us. I paid for that myself, I snapped. Every payment. Every dollar. She smiled. Cold. Your job came through your father's connections. Everything you have comes from us. I looked around again. Desperate. Someone say something, I said. Anyone. Nothing. Just silence. Then, a phone appeared inches from my face. Say something, Summer, my sister whispered. I turned. She was smiling. And then I saw it. The red light. She was live streaming. Thousands of people watching. Comments flying. Reactions pouring in. My humiliation. Was content. Brianna, stop, I said. She didn't. This is insane, she laughed. My followers are loving this. That's when something inside me snapped. Not loudly. Not emotionally. Quietly. I stopped being scared. And started paying attention. Because in that moment, I noticed something no one else did. A man. Standing in the corner. Not reacting. Not judging. Watching. His eyes weren't like the others. They weren't cold. They weren't entertained. They looked hurt. And somehow familiar. Who is that? I asked, pointing. My father froze. Just for a second. Then said quickly, no one. Sit down. But it was too late. Because the man had already started walking toward me. And when he spoke, the entire room went silent. Not yet, he said calmly. Let her ask her questions first. My father's face changed. For the first time that night. He looked afraid. Because the man in the corner wasn't a stranger. He was the one person they never wanted me to meet. The moment that man spoke, everything changed. My father didn't look angry anymore. He looked panicked. Call security, he snapped, his voice cracking. He's not supposed to be here. But no one moved. Not the staff. Not the guests. Not even my own family. Because something about that man commanded attention. He stepped forward slowly. Calm. Controlled. Like he had nothing to prove. Because he already knew the truth. My name is Marcus Whitfield, he said. And I'm here for her. The room shifted. Confusion spread. People whispering, trying to piece it together. I stared at him. Heart racing. Who are you? I asked. He didn't hesitate. I'm your father. The world tilted. For a second, I couldn't breathe. That's not possible, my mother snapped. He's lying. But her voice wasn't steady. It was sharp. Defensive. And that told me everything. I looked back at him. Really looked. Same eyes. Same shape. Same quiet intensity. Something inside me recognized him. Before my mind could catch up. "You're supposed to be dead," I whispered. He shook his head. "I was never gone," he said softly. "I was kept away." That word hit differently. Kept. "Explain," I said. And he did. 30 years ago. My biological mother had me. But her family didn't approve. Didn't accept him. Didn't accept me. So they made a deal. They placed me with another family. My parents. Under conditions. Strict ones. He wouldn't contact me. Wouldn't interfere. Wouldn't exist in my life. Until I turned 30. My chest tightened. "You agreed to that?" I asked. His voice broke slightly. "I agreed, because I thought you'd be loved." I turned slowly. Looked at the people who raised me. My mother wouldn't meet my eyes. My father looked like he was trying to calculate his way out. But there was no way out anymore. Then Marcus did something that changed everything. He opened a folder. "Gerald," he said calmly, "you just demanded $500,000 from her." My father stiffened. "That's right." Marcus nodded. "Then you won't mind explaining this." He placed documents on the table. Stacks of them. Bank records. Transfer receipts. Signed confirmations. "Every month," Marcus continued, "I sent money." Silence. 30 years. More silence. $1,500 per month. Someone gasped. "That's over $500,000, he said. The room erupted. "What is this?" someone asked. "These," Marcus said, "are payments to the people who raised my daughter." My head snapped toward my mother. "You were paid." I said slowly. She didn't answer. "Answer me." "It was compensation," she shouted. "Compensation. For raising me. For pretending to love me. For 30 years. I felt something inside me break. But not the way they expected. Not into pieces. Into clarity. "You weren't helping me," I said. "You were getting paid." And suddenly, everything made sense. The favoritism. The distance. The way I was treated like I didn't belong. Because I didn't. Not to them. Not in the way I thought. Then Marcus handed me something else. An envelope. Old. Carefully preserved. "Your mother wrote this," he said. "My real mother." I opened it with shaking hands. And as I read her words, something inside me shifted completely. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel unwanted. I felt chosen. Because the truth didn't just expose their lies. It gave me something they never could. A real identity, and a choice. By the time I finished reading the letter, I wasn't the same person anymore. My hands were still shaking. My eyes still full of tears. But the confusion, gone. For the first time in 30 years, I understood everything. I wasn't unwanted. I wasn't lucky to be there. I wasn't a burden. I was placed, controlled, paid for, and suddenly, the entire room felt smaller. I looked at my parents. No, not my parents. The people who raised me. "You knew," I said quietly. My mother didn't deny it. She couldn't. "All these years," I continued. "You let me believe I wasn't wanted." Her voice cracked. "We gave you a home." "With his money," I replied, pointing at Marcus. Silence. No one defended them now. Not anymore. Because the truth had done what I couldn't. It exposed everything. My father tried one last time. His voice softer now. Almost pleading. "We're still your family," he said. I looked at him. Really looked. For years, I had tried to earn something from him. Approval. Love. Recognition. But standing there, I realized something simple. You can't earn something that someone was never willing to give. "No," I said calmly. "You're not." The room held its breath. "You raised me," I continued. "But you never loved me." No one argued. "You lied to me for 30 years. You humiliated me in front of strangers. You tried to control my future. I shook my head slightly. That's not family. Then I turned, faced the rest of the room. All 75 of them. I'm not asking any of you to take sides, I said. But remember this moment. Not one of you spoke up. Eyes dropped. Shifts in chairs. Guilt spreading quietly. I won't forget that. Then I picked up my things. No yelling. No drama. Just clarity. As I walked toward the door, my mother tried to stop me. You can't just leave, she said. I paused. Looked at her one last time. Yes, I said. I can. And I walked out. No hesitation. No looking back. Outside, the air felt different. Lighter. For the first time in my life. I wasn't trying to belong somewhere I wasn't wanted. I was free. 3 days later, I got called into work. I thought it was over. That my father had followed through on his threat. But instead, I was offered the promotion. Because someone else had already spoken. Marcus. Not to interfere. Not to control. But to make sure one thing was clear. I earned my place on my own. That was the difference. He didn't try to take over my life. He gave me space to build it. Weeks later, I met him again. Not as a stranger. Not as a replacement. Just as someone willing to try. I don't need you to call me Dad, he said. I just want to be in your life. And for the first time, that felt like enough. Now, I live in my own apartment. Built with my own money. My own effort. My own choices. I still think about that night sometimes. Not with anger. Not with regret. But with understanding. Because they didn't destroy me. They revealed themselves. And in doing that, they gave me the one thing I had been searching for my entire life. The truth. Because sometimes the worst day of your life is actually the day you finally stop being someone else's version of you and start becoming your own.